Got it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, you want to take us in today, or what?
Yeah, I think today we'll have a witchy good time in the old state of women not being able to have rights back in like the 17th century. For those of you who can't catch that reference, we are covering Massachusetts. And if you know anything about Massachusetts, you would probably know something about the Salem witch trial. Now, however, what me and my co host are about to unwind here is that these sons of bitches really love candy. Um, so I have been your host for today's episode. I am the Meat Viking and my wonderful co host.
Professor Porkloin.
Mm-hmm. And today we got a special one for you. So it's going to be more in line for those of you with sweet tooths. While doing our research on this wonderful state, we kind of ran into the same problem we did with the last one, and that is this is a coastal state, and most of their food kind of is all the same. They're going to have a lot of lobster, a lot of crab, um, some clam chowder. And so when we were sifting through all that, we found a couple of gems that we didn't think we would be able to find. Um,
True.
do you got one that you want to start us off on?
Well, we got to tell
Mm,
what the safe word is for today.
that's true. It is witch. Yep,
Because of the whole entire Salem thing, it just seems fitting.
it does.
And
It
then,
does.
what do you got in the cup today? I heard you cracked something open.
I have a Mommy Bay Blitzen, which is an ale.
It is around that time, isn't it?
Yep. Ale brewed with cinnamon, orange, and honey, and it is a rather decent beer.
Oh man, we're not gonna get to Ohio by the time the holidays come around, huh?
I don't know, dude. You know I can barely
Probably,
spell.
probably not. So yeah, definitely talk about this Blitzen because I liked that one when I lived up that way.
Yeah, it's a good one, man.
I think at the bar I used to work at, we would I don't know if it was the Christmas sale or if it was Blitzen. I think it was Blitzen. We put cinnamon sugar around the rim of the glass.
Hmm.
So I think it was Blitzen though.
Yeah, I don't know, because being where we're at, there are actually quite a few um Christmas ales around this time. Like Great Lakes is a super popular one.
Yeah.
Platform has like two or three of them that are out. So what I did like 2 weeks ago is I just stocked up on some Christmas beers, and it's been working.
Well, we are getting closer and closer to that holiday, so
We are indeed.
sounds like a good start to the holiday season by drinking some Christmas beers.
Hmm. And so, what do you got in your cup today?
So we had some people over, and they left their bottle of Crown, so I
Oh,
decided to enjoy some Crown and Coke.
Crown and Coke.
Can't go wrong with a little bit of some Crown,
No, no, you can't.
or not free Crown, but essentially leftover free Crown.
I'll take it. So, free
But
whiskey is usually better than cheap whiskey, and cheap whiskey is never free.
yeah, for the
So,
listeners out there talking about whiskey, you can go back to one of our older episodes.
hmm
You need to start like tagging these older episodes in the when we talk about them. Be like, oh yeah, go back to episode whatever, and then just be like, blink. Here's episode 4,
dude, I
whiskey.
look okay. I would, but whatever the robot at YouTube is doing just keeps telling everybody to go to Iowa, and you know what? I'm not even gonna question it. I don't know. I don't know how. I don't know why. I don't know who, but for whatever reason, the YouTube gods have decided that Iowa is the one episode that will shine. And it's like not even by a close margin. It's ridiculous. So
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah, yeah.
Someone's looking.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yep. I don't know.
that one might be the one where we actually hit 1,000 views off.
We're over halfway there.
I know. But then what's funny is that the rest of the videos are like
Yep.
16, 10,
Mm-hmm.
like nothing.
Yep. I have no idea. No idea. I'm gonna
Yeah, I don't know.
let it do its thing. So
But well, we are moving on to Massachusetts. For all you massholes out there,
mm-hmm.
if you're a northeasterner, New Englander, you know that those are called massholes.
Yep.
Um, so I guess getting into one of the things that's not necessarily candy, but I think it would be kind of good to at least talk about is those baked beans.
So what baked beans are we talking about? Because apparently there are two types of baked beans from
Yeah,
Massachusetts.
I'm gonna go with the ones that aren't the peanuts and they're actually legit baked beans.
Okay.
So, there's a lot of Native American meals that are served up that way, and beans are one of those things. So the beans are actually slow cooked into some molasses, and it's a little bit of a throwback to way back when,
Mm-hmm.
um, but also to when the city had a bunch of molasses during their trade routes. So it's typically served in a small crock with some brown bread, which we've talked about the brown bread because that's the stuff that's in the can.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to look back at a couple episodes with Maine, we were talking about the bread in a can, which again, fucking weird, but whatever. But I think this would be pretty good, to be honest with you. It's been a hot minute since I've been on that way, so I'm actually planning on going up that way next year. But to have the last time I was there was, I think it was like 2009 or some crap like that. It was somewhere around there. I actually took my sister up there for a basketball game, which is super cool. I think it was the Fleetwood or the TD Ameritrade, I think is the sponsor now. And it was just super cool with the old brick buildings and whatnot. But I think the next time I'm up there, I'm gonna try to get some of these baked beans.
Mm.
There's
Yep.
a couple pubs or taverns that actually do them. So I guess if you're closer to the Freedom Trail, there's a couple pubs up that way off of Tremont Street. There's one that's off of Cambridge Street, and then one off of Bosworth Street that do all of these baked beans. So I guess this one, the Brukowski Tavern, does layers. So it does bacon, beans, molasses, and brown sugar, and then bakes it kind of like a casserole for 4 hours. I feel like that would be awesome because every time I've had baked beans with like bacon in it, dude, it's killer. You can't go wrong.
Right. Yeah. I would thoroughly enjoy the casserole style that you had just mentioned.
Yeah, but then even with the molasses and the brown sugar,
Mm-hmm.
like all that stuff just caramelizes. You it has that nice little sauce that the beans cook in.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like before we get into the next side, we kind of have to say what that would go with. And honestly, when I think of baked beans, I think of hot dogs.
That's fair. Uh,
So there's a Fenway Frank. You want to talk about that really quick?
I gotta re-pull that article up because I meant to send that one to you, but it didn't send. Which is weird because it's in our chat log and I don't know why. It just never went through. Fenway Franks are essentially hot dogs, but cooked a little bit differently. Um, Most Americans, you know what a hot dogs are. They pretty much go together like baseball games and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Uh, but apparently the Fenway Frank is super popular in Massachusetts for how it's cooked. Whereas, sorry, excuse me, it has a where the Franks are instead boiled and grilled instead of usually steamed or grilled. So they boil this a little bit, get all that juice in there, and then they just grill it a little bit, um, to get that nice cooked feel on it. Uh, yeah, dude, I agree with you that brats and baked beans or hot dogs and baked beans is easily the way to go on that. So,
100%. But I
mm-hmm.
mean, you figure because of Fenway, I mean, historic baseball stadium, um, that it would be, named after Fenway for sure. But I remember growing up, used to boil some of the hot dogs, especially if it was cold out, and then throw it on the grill. So I wonder, like, who was like, okay, let's, instead of steam these things, or let's said, instead of just throwing them right on a grill, let's boil them first, and then said, okay, let's put them on the grill. Like hot dog vendors.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I've been to New York, I've been to Boston, been to those ones, and they basically just have them in a hot water bath until you're ready to eat it, and then they go, okay, give me a hot dog, and you're like, oh, here it is.
Yep, they call them water dogs for a reason there, bud. So, but an interesting statistic here, the numbers, this is coming from 2013. Um, it was 15,000 francs per game were consumed, and more than 800,000 in a season. So that is quite a lot of hot dogs.
Yeah, but then think about how expensive that crap is, because usually when you go to games, dude, a hot dog is like $6.
Yeah,
That's
that's why I don't go there.
why
I
you
can
bring
get
your own food.
dude, I can get an entire pack for like $6. I don't know what you're talking about.
I think you can get an entire pack for even cheaper than that, man. I think you're looking at like three.
And dude, I generally buy bratwurst. I haven't bought a hot dog for a long time.
Oh, yeah, brats are usually a little bit more.
Yeah, that is my go-to.
Yeah.
So,
Well, the other type of baked beans is the candy Boston baked beans.
mm-hmm.
So these things are a little bit different, because they're not your beans per se, but essentially they're peanuts that are roasted, and they have something that's melted on top of it to look like a bean. I don't have that pulled up either.
So from what I can tell, the Boston baked bean is the generic name used for the sugar-coated peanuts that the Ferrara Pan Candy Company developed early in the 1930s. They
Okay.
actually came around the same time that Red Hots, the cinnamon candy, was introduced.
Oh yeah, I like those.
But the Boston baked bean is created using a cold panned candy process that involves building candy pieces from single units, in this case peanuts, and tossing them into revolving pans while adding flavor, color, and other candy ingredients. Process continues until the pieces become the size that they're desired, and then they're shipped out and enjoyed, pretty much everywhere. It's been a long time since I've had some Boston baked beans, but want to say it was my grandma who got me into them, and they were always a nice treat when we would go like see the movies and stuff. So I do enjoy me some Boston baked beans candy.
See, I also like the cinnamon sugar. Not are they almonds? I think they're almonds that you can
Oh,
also get at some of those establishments.
yeah. That is
So,
fair.
but it's still, I mean, still looks good. Still try out those things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like if it's been around for as long as it has been, there's a reason. It's probably good. It's like if you see it and you haven't tried it before and you're not allergic to peanuts, go ahead and try it. You know, don't be trying this if you got some kind of peanut allergy. That's not going to go well for you.
No, definitely not.
Mm-hmm. So I think we should move on to the other Boston here, and that is the Boston cream pie.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. Which is kind of funny because it's not actually a pie.
I know it's actually two pieces of yellow cake, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
I think it's yellow cake, and it's got the cream in the middle of those, and they put the chocolate on top.
Mm-hmm.
So, but when I think of that though, you think of like the Boston cream pie donuts or the Boston cream donuts, that has that cream filling in there. But I also think of my grandmother with some of the pies that she's made over the years, before she went away. And the one that she told me she made was a Boston cream pie, but it was like taking stuff out of the pantry and going, oh yeah, I just had this in my pantry and I substituted this with that, with that, with this, and
Mm-hmm.
here. And it was like, damn, this still tasted good.
Right. It's super good. Um, from what I can see here is that this started around Parker House opened in 1855, employing the famous chef, sorry, French chef named Sanzen. It was he, the story goes, who created the Boston cream pie, unusual at the time for its use of chocolate in the dessert rather than as a beverage. Um, the hotel's original version was called chocolate cream pie, but through the Parker House claim, its namesake was its fluffy white rolls, and so food historians believe what we call the Boston cream pie is likely get start elsewhere, but they can't ever really pin it down because it's like maybe the recipe came from 1878 or was mentioned in the New York Herald in 1855. But the most likely is that it came from the Washington pie, which is a layer cake filled with jelly, popular in the 19th century. But nobody really knows for sure, but I can confirm that it is delicious. So that much I do know. So it's like the Boston cream pie is delicious, Boston cream donut, equally delicious.
Oh yeah, all of those are just, hey, let me just have seconds.
You know what it almost reminds me of?
What's that?
Oh, that cookie we talked about in last episode. I forget the name of it, where it was like a shortbread cookie, but it had chocolate fudge icing on the top of it.
Oh yeah, I can't remember the name of that either.
Yep. That's what that reminds me of, at least.
There you
So,
go, listeners. Go ahead and listen to the last episode, and you can see what we're talking about.
yep. Yep. And that is what we call reverse marketing.
What's
So,
funny is obviously, because it's a bay, there's the ocean right there. And you're right, talking about lobster rolls, talking about oysters, clams, clam bakes. We've kind of discussed some of these already. So I feel like this one really is kind of a dessert slash candy um, episode. But there's one thing that I do want to mention that's straight up Boston, 100%.
mhm.
And you know who Mark Wahlberg is, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well,
We talking about Wahlburger?
yeah, the Wahlburgers.
Mm.
It's funny because I guess the brother Paul wanted to do a restaurant because obviously you have Donnie, you have Mark, so they did the whole entire actor singer thing, and Paul was the one that was like, "Hey, I like food, so I
Hmm.
want to kind of do my own thing here," and they created Wahlburgers.
Yep.
So I unfortunately have never had that, but I know when I go up that way next year, I am gonna definitely try a Wahlburger just to see, because when we get to Texas, we'll talk about Whataburger because that's like the state burger if you're in
Mm.
Texas. Although not anymore because Texas sold out to them commie Canadians,
Yep.
where a Canadian company actually owns it now. And I
Real.
remember when people were pissed about that, but I guess they have some pretty cool burgers. Like I'm they have like a triple decker. They've got a barbecue bacon burger. They've got the super melt. I mean, and it's even sandwiches too.
Hmm. I
So
I would give this a try. You can just Google the Wahlburgers, and they look like juicy goodness that was gonna mess your taste buds up and not want you to eat anything else in a good way.
you know what's funny though is while I'm looking at this menu, obviously you have the burgers, right? You got
Yep.
the bacon, barbecue bacon and whatnot, but then they also have sandwiches and then mom's favorite. Get the
Yep.
house made chili or a
Ooh.
bacon mac and cheese. Like
Mm.
I can just picture it be like, time to get mom's favorite.
You know it. Uh,
So, but man, I think Wahlburgers competing with all those other ones, In and Out, Whataburger, but you can only find it in, I think,
Matt,
Boston.
I thought they had branched out. I think I'd seen a rumor while I was looking at it real quick that they were coming to Nashville.
Oh yeah, they're all over the place.
Yep.
Well, I guess they're
Uh,
trying to expand their stuff then, huh?
yep. I'm okay with that.
I
You
guess I'll
know.
have to find it next time if I'm anywhere close to one. I'll have to start looking.
Mm-hmm.
So, but all them Boston people, you know what? I wonder because Massachusetts and Boston gets that accent, and everyone like talks shit about it. Like, go park the car. Like, um, I wonder if you don't order like that. If they'd be like, get the fuck out of here.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. That's a hard one to say, man. Hard one to say.
Well, I just know that they don't call them massholes for nothing, right?
Right. Yeah. I was looking up several Massachusetts slogans, and I was like, I would not want to stay here. So, because also apparently they pay stupid high taxes. So, no, thank you.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I looked at some other things too when they're talking about scallops, and then I saw stuff with like a roast beef sandwich, and I just don't know if that's necessarily Massachusetts, right? Like you can
Mm-hmm.
get those things in other states too.
Well,
So
do you want to know what is
what
Massachusetts?
what is Massachusetts?
Necco Wafers.
They're Necco wafers.
Necco Wafers.
Yeah.
Yep. So, uh, New England Confectionery Company is where they get their abbreviation from. Operated in Boston, Massachusetts. They were produced in 1847 and were considered to be the company's core product. Apparently, there was a small hiatus in July of 2018, but it returned in May of 2020. Each roll of the Necco wafers contains 8 flavors. You've got lemon, lime, orange, clove. Sorry, yeah, clove, cinnamon, wintergreen, licorice, and chocolate. Made with some simple ingredients such as sugar, corn syrup, gelatin, gums, colors, and flavorings. Kind of some interesting stuff here, though, is that in 1847, Oliver Chase, English immigrant, invented a lozenge cutting machine. So, like for cough drops, and that's how I ended up coming up with the idea for these wafer sizes. Um, at the time of the Civil War, they were called hub wafers and were commonly carried by the Union soldiers. 1901, they merged with 2 other companies. 1912 is when they got their name as the Necco Wafers and have carried that name since. During World War II, and I found this interesting, the United States government ordered Necco to produce its wafers for soldiers overseas. As a result of this, Necco saw its wildest sale peak, and upon returning home, many of the former soldiers became faithful customers who continued to buy the wafers. So, just a little, hey, this was probably in MREs from World War II. And because of that, a lot of the people who came back overseas became longtime Necco customers.
All right. So I have had these growing up as a kid, and let me tell you, you're better off finding something other candy wise.
Yeah.
Sure, it tastes like a little bit of cinnamon, but you know what? Why don't you go to your room that you're in right now,
Mm-hmm.
take a little piece of your drywall off, and just fucking eat it because that's basically what that flavor slash you
Yep.
know not flavor taste
Texture.
the texture is gonna be.
Yep.
Basically these things are basically what psychopaths would eat because they are not good, man. And you know what? If I was a soldier for the Civil War and they put that in my MRE, I'd be like, who the fuck gave me this?
I mean, like, dude, you got to think. So back in the Civil War, and this is going to be a little history lesson for you, because food preservation back at that time was not good,
Oh
right?
yeah.
And so they had these things called hardtack, which is a type of cracker that's made from flour, water, and salt, right? And they had these because it was super inexpensive and long lasting. Um, and it was so long lasting that back in the day they would take this for long sea voyages, land migrations, and military campaigns. All right. However, this shit was so hard that you would have to dip your bread in your coffee in order to actually eat it. This hardtack. So yeah, like
Yeah, I guess that's better, but I mean now I'm going through plaster or drywall candy to freaking a cement brick of bread.
yeah, I like. I'm not saying it's good, but it was probably better than eating cement bricks of bread. So I don't know. And
Well,
like I actually got something I'm gonna screen share here.
I find it funny though because I mean
Right.
it's still one of those things.
This shit is hardtack from 1862, right? Do you see any mold on that?
Damn, that shit's almost like McDonald's.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. So supposed to have a shelf life longer than regular bread. Well, yeah, dude. I buy bread and it lasts 2 weeks, not no 200 years. Okay, you know. But that that's just that's a little fact about hardtack for everybody to know. And so I would take the slightly flavored chalk. It's probably like White Claw, honestly, where what you do is you take a sip of it and then somebody 2 rooms down yells a flavor and then that's the flavor you taste. I'm kind of okay with that.
Ugh. I,
So,
I would just pass. You know what? I'd give you all mine. You'd be like, here, man, you eat all these freaking Necco wafers.
dude, I probably ate like I was not the best student in school. I probably have eaten chalk already. I'll be okay.
You were the one that was sniffing the fucking markers, weren't
Yeah.
you?
Yep. So, however, I think it's time that excuse me, move on to something I think both you and I can agree with the exception of the serving size. So, are you familiar with the Hoodsie Cup?
Yeah, I am.
Mm-hmm.
I remember those ice cream things.
Yep. So apparently, it was invented because people can decide whether they wanted chocolate or vanilla ice cream since 1947, and so they just put them in the same thing, and like here's 3 ounces total of both because you just wanted to lick it apparently. So um, they are product of Massachusetts-based Dairy, which is a regional treat to many New Englanders claim to miss once they move, because they're a lot harder to pack than Necco Wafers or a 6 pack of Moxie. Um, Hoodsie Cups or just plain hoodies are a taste bud reminder of childhood when the cups were often handed out at birthdays or classroom parties, summer cookouts, church suppers. Apparently, they used to be a little tub and you peeled back a paper lid, and for a while underneath that lid was like a little collectible. Kind of think of like a trading card or a baseball card, because
Yeah.
these were super popular at like baseball games. So a little bit of fun with that. and it says later on in this article, if you grew up with hoodies, you're probably hanging on to an effort and a fondness for the little cups. But unlike the Necco Wafers and Moxie, this isn't an acquired taste. You know,
Yeah.
they actually have good ice cream here, and yeah, I I'm not gonna lie, I'm okay with a little bit of the uh the chocolate and vanilla mix. You know?
You know what? I think the best part of that is having that wooden spoon
Yeah, that's
and
fair.
freaking just like jamming that wooden spoon in there, and that alone makes it that much better. But you know how like sometimes you can taste things with pictures and whatnot.
Yep,
Like I just feel like now eating that would be good, but I would taste the wood. Like
yep.
you just be like, yeah, I'm basically licking a wood thing right now.
Hmm. No, I agree. I agree.
But I mean, that's every kid's thing though. Like I remember with these little things, and you'd peel off that paper lid and have that wooden spoon, and it'd be like, hell yeah, I'm on heaven on earth right now, just eating some ice cream.
Yep. And like I remember eating ice cream with a wooden spoon that I actually still have wooden spoon taste in my mouth. Now that you mentioned that,
Yeah, right. Like you're walking down memory lane now that I said something, and you're like, fuck, I can taste that wooden spoon.
hmm
It's like showing a picture of pennies, and you're like, oh man, I can taste this picture, and you know everyone knows what a fucking penny tastes like.
yeah, but nobody ever told you should taste a penny.
No, you just did it as a kid because either someone pressured you, or you were just like, huh, I wonder what this tastes like. Put it in your mouth.
Yeah, like not like 9-volt batteries an acquired flavor too. I don't know if you've ever tasted that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
we used to do that as kids. Stick your tongue out and then like
Yep.
jolt you.
Yep. So that's probably why we decided to do this podcast together. You and I have tasted too many pennies and 9-volt batteries. So,
Yeah,
uh,
making a little dumber.
oh yeah, for sure. So, I think I've got one last thing to talk about, unless you want to end on this one.
Which one are you talking? Which one are you going to talk about?
The lovely Fluffernutter.
Yes. There's something else I want to talk about too, but oh, fluff is freaking crazy. Did you have that as a kid growing up?
Uh-uh.
You never
I,
had fluff?
mm-mm. I did not.
Oh man, we had that as a kid growing up, and it's basically a whole jar of marshmallows
Mm-hmm.
that's basically like a cream or a paste. And what we would do is we would throw it with peanut butter. So that's where the fluffer nutter was, but we didn't call it a fluffer nutter. But again, I'm not from New England. I'm from the Northeast, so some of that kind of came down.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember having a thing of fluff in the pantry or the cabinet, and dude, you want to talk about sticking your knife into that, and that stuff would last for 100 years. It literally is just sugar. Like I think it's sugar, egg, and something else.
Hmm.
And I can guarantee you that if you had one of those and you let it sit in your cabinet for 10 years and you open that thing up, you would still be able to eat it 100%.
Let's see if Fluff has an expiration date.
Oh, I'm sure it does, but as a kid, I felt like we could have had one of those things in there forever and it wouldn't have mattered. But the fluffer nutter is definitely awesome because you get yourself some toasted bread. You
Mm-hmm.
put that fluff right on the one side, you put the peanut butter on the other side, and just make a sandwich out of it. And man, it's gonna be like heaven in your mouth.
Mm.
You need to find it. You need to try at least once. I'm sure you could probably get a small thing of fluff these days. Actually, I don't even know where the hell you can get it.
I don't know. I know I gotta go to the stores soon, so maybe I'll check there. I know what I'm seeing is what's known as a fluffernutter taco, and
Oh God,
I
I
am
could.
I'm completely behind this because all it is a crepe that's been filled with peanut butter, vanilla ice cream, and fluffernutter, and then just rolled over.
Yeah,
Yeah, Yeah, that's up my alley. So.
Yeah, it's basically a peanut butter and marshmallow sandwich is what your fluffernutter is.
Mm-hmm.
So, but again, the main ingredient though is fluff.
Yep.
And also another thing that was sent out, uh, it was invented during World War One.
Oh, interesting.
So
I did not catch that.
yeah, but man, it's been uh the marshmallow fluff debuted in 1918 in Massachusetts. So I find that to be super cool. But
Huh.
yeah, next when you go to the store next time, definitely get if you can find a smaller jar. If not, just buy the big one. It's probably like $3, 3 or 4
Yeah.
bucks. And I mean, you won't be disappointed. Just if you like peanut butter and you like marshmallow, like you're not going to be able to go wrong with it.
I actually do like peanut butter. In fact, for a snack today, I took a cinnamon oatmeal pack, a maple brown sugar oatmeal pack. I mixed them together, made oatmeal, took a spoonful of peanut butter, put it inside of that, and then stirred it around so the peanut butter melted. And then I had me
Okay.
a nice bowl of oatmeal that way. Yes, that was delicious.
Okay. I find it funny. Um, I just did a little bit of some research on the fluff there, and apparently there's activities and festivals that include fluff themes things like science fairs.
Hmm.
Um, the person from the Brady Bunch, Cindy Brady, attended the festival where she sold her fluff inspired art, and that in 2006 one of the state senators wound up proposing a restriction on the number of servings that fluffernutter sandwiches were for schools because like that would be lunch for kids.
Oh.
And then they wanted to make the fluffernutter the official sandwich of Massachusetts.
Oh, jeez.
So yeah, I mean, it just that when you're talking about fluffernutter, that definitely takes me back to being a kid. So
A little bit of nostalgia.
yeah, little nostalgia. Um, so I actually have two things that I want to talk about, and I don't think this was an exhaustive list. I feel like there's more, but it's Massachusetts.
Yeah.
But one of the first ones is the Cape Cod potato chips.
Okay. Yeah, I've had those.
Yeah, I think everybody's had those. I like the sea salt and cracked pepper.
Yep. Those
Those
are
are
the
probably my
ones.
favorite ones.
Yep.
But you can basically get these at any gas station sandwich shop now. Um, and it was started in Cape Cod. So can't go wrong with some of those kettle cooked potato chips. And what's funny about it is that the owner had no idea about anything when it came to like the snack market. The
Mm-hmm.
only thing that they learned is that they took a class on potato chips, like how to make them in Pennsylvania. And then they wound up just saying, sure, let's see what we can do. The guy bought like a $3,000 potato slicer and then just said, all right, we're going to put these in a kettle and cook them.
Hmm.
And boom, had it. And another fact about this too is that Anheuser-Busch actually owned this company for like 11 years or 13 years, somewhere around there.
Oh,
So when Anheuser-Busch had it, sales went through the roof because they just paired them with their beer. I mean, what goes better with beer than like a salted chip,
correct.
Because then it winds up making you drink more beer. So then the sales go up even more.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy bought his company back from Anheuser-Busch. I think it was in like 1999. So imagine selling your company and then it skyrockets because they probably had the marketing and everything behind it, and then you're like, dude, I want my company back.
Well then. That is I remember reading an article about why they did like beer and beer and salt stuff, and it was because you would end up drinking more beer, and I found that absolutely fascinating. But I didn't
Yeah,
realize that the potato chip company had a partnership with a beer company for that reason.
Well,
So
duh. It's like, hey, I scratch your back and you scratch mine.
right, like it makes perfect sense now that you know the information. You know, like it's one of those kind of scenarios where like once you figure out how to tie your shoes, you're like, oh yeah, this makes sense. But learning how to tie your shoes, that's like next level knowledge.
You feel like an idiot trying to
Yeah,
freaking tie your shoes.
right. So,
So this I guess this last thing that I want to just chat about is those grilled blueberry muffins.
yep. Now this is
So
a businessman hack. I don't care what you tell me. This had to come from a businessman.
yeah, why is that?
Because who else would have had the thought to be like, you know what? These muffins are a day old. Let's reheat them and then sell them better.
Yeah, but you know what? Sometimes though things that are a day old and you reheat it are way better.
Like chili is one of
Chili,
those examples. Yep.
I make French onion. That's the same way.
Yep.
Like I feel like pizza the next day is
Mm-hmm.
still just as good. So I mean, I think they're just going along with the trend on that about how all right, I got this day old muffin, but let's cut it in half. Let's throw some butter on it and then just put it on the grill with a freaking steak weight and kind of flatten it a little bit.
True.
Because then you get that crispy flavor from the butter. Like you get the crispiness. I mentioned off, this recording that I did a like a chocolate vanilla bread, and it was good by itself. I mean, we ate it, but
Mm-hmm.
that's what I did the one time. I'm like, you know what? Let's see what happens if I throw some butter on this and then just put it on the flat top and let that kind of caramelize and crisp up. And man, that thing made that 100% better.
No, I agree. I
So
I agree.
I mean, but think about it. Like if you make blueberry muffins, you can sell them, and then the ones that you don't, right? You can just say, "Hey, I'm just gonna reuse this shit, and I'm gonna sell it to you again."
Mm-hmm. It's a masterful plan. It really is. It like 10 out of 10, like best businessman ever, especially
Yeah.
for making it a better product. So I don't know.
So I wonder if that can apply with other things though too. You know, like I wonder if there's other things in shops, like maybe a chocolate donut or maybe a chocolate muffin or something like that, right? You can say, hey, let's just throw a little bit of some butter on it, throw it on the flat top with the steak weight, and then see what happens.
I would say like your easiest ones are going to be things that are like fruit based muffins. However, you never know. Like that might work good for a donut. Maybe cut the donut in half like a bagel and then do it that way, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Well,
but
Boston, you are or Massachusetts, you are
yep.
killing it with
Your desserts.
your desserts and your sweets.
Hmm. Yeah, you got me wanting to get some form of marshmallow and peanut butter something.
Oh, that you won't be disappointed, man. 100%. And if
Well,
you are, then I feel like something's wrong with you.
no, that's fair. I got the craving. You know, like it's almost like when you get a song stuck in your head, but this is like I got like a taste that's stuck in my taste buds.
Yeah.
So, well, I think that's gonna wrap it up for this episode. If you want to bring us on out,
Yeah, I think so. So, foodies, people who are listening to this podcast, let us know if there's anything that we missed for Massachusetts or Boston or any of those cities that are up there, because I'm sure you probably have Ma's like favorite recipe.
mm-hmm.
I feel like there's a lot of Irish influence up that way, so probably, steak and potatoes type deal. But
I would love
yeah.
some steak and potatoes right now too.
Well, what's stopping you, man? What's stopping you?
I made pork fajitas for dinner.
Oh, okay. Well,
That's
fair
what's
enough.
stopping me.
All right.
So,
Well, listeners, I am Professor Porkloin, and I'm, signing off with my lovely co-host.
and I've been the Meat Viking signing off with my lovely co host, and we'll see you
And
all in the next one.
yeah.